granule of corn available fresh water would be half of granule of corn. Air is not clean, so it is not also free good. Here are examples from China, from Beijing and from Zhengzhou. And the Nobel Prize for Economics is awarded for work, as said, say, innovations and also environment. Yeah. William Nordhaus got Nobel Prize this year, and Paul Romer. William Nordhaus evaluated environment. We have different methods to evaluate environment. For example, contingent valuation method, travel cost method, replacement cost method. Replacement cost method is usually used in resilience issues, emergency management. But we can also use, for example, contingent valuation method as William Nordhaus used. And key issues connected with environmental management. Quality of life. It can be simply described as picture of life, as picture of us. That is quality of life. It can be understood objectively or subjectively, one-dimensional or multidimensional. And in European Union we have Eurostat database, yeah, and they formulate the definition of quality of life and they are measure it. And one of factors of quality of life is also physical safety. According to Eurostat, physical safety refers to being protected from any situation that puts a person's physical security at risk, such as crime, accidents, or natural disasters. And the next keyword, sustainable development. Development that meets with the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, as we can see. The last keyword, EMAS, Eco-Management and Audit Scheme. It is implemented in European enterprises. EMAS stands for Performance, Credibility, and Transparency. And these words are academic words, difficult words. How to translate them to people that are non-academia. Arthur Dahl said there are two challenges in making science more accessible to people everywhere. One is to improve the physical access to scientific knowledge, and the other is to simplify the way that knowledge is presented to make it easy and understandable. So, how to do it? First, we disseminate knowledge in journals. When we pay, I as scientist, I pay for journal or my university, it is open access. When I'm not paying, it is not free. So journals should be open access. All journals. Here you have example of current journals. I do promotion. So the deadline is short, so be prepared. And how to do it? You can do movies, you can put them to YouTube, yeah? For example, what is fruit kind? You can do, or you can play games. Mr. Spock, do you play disaster games? Where is Mr. Spock? I cannot localize him. For example, we have game Stop Disasters. We can educate also through game disaster master or natural disaster survival. So we can educate young people at the out. And we can also use social media to communicate, to do projects like through this BIARI and previous BIARI, and do this project at the desk in the different parts of the world and cooperate to solve international problems, international issues. Sorry for my Slavic English, but I'm learning. I'm trying to improve it. And that is all. Here's place from my mountains, from Piepora, Poland, to the mountain that is Czech Republic. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Dr. Zbigniew, and thank you for the promotion of our Journal of Social Health. So, nandito po kami sa promotion. Okay, so I will request our speakers to come up on stage for the Q&A. So the floor is now open for the questions, but please be brief and concise. And for those who want to ask questions, kindly queue in the microphone. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon. My question is for Dr. Itay. I'm Jake Pangilinan. I'm working as a city tourism officer, so my interest is on conservation and heritage and resilience. Given that Gigantes is actually the top tourist grower of Iloilo province, no? I've seen the statistics, and they receive about close to 60,000 tourists in a year, and that's roughly twice the population. And I fear that tourism might actually be a disaster waiting to happen. So, can you share with us what are the conservation activities or programs that the community is adapting to or using to adapt to the increasing number of tourists that are coming to their community? Thank you.
There are currently 2 studies being done. It's quite unfortunate that these studies are being done when tourists have started coming in Gigantes. But there was a study being conducted with the carrying capacity, particularly of the Tanque Lagoon, and another one is on the tourism use values. So we hope to be able to finish with these studies within the year and incorporate it with we're also currently developing their sustainable tourism plan. So again, tourism management in Gigantes is very reactive. As is the case, I think, of many tourism areas in the Philippines. And while it's not new, we decry the fact that there was some kind of a lack of foresight, particularly on the part of the local government or even the provincial government to manage the flow of tourists every year. And I think we were kind of surprised by the initial reaction of the social media, especially after Typhoon Yolanda in 2013, because we believe that was the primary reason why there's this skyrocketing attention in Gigantes, not just of local tourists going to the island, but most especially of international humanitarian organizations helping, while at the same time taking pictures and posting these pictures on the internet and grabbing the attention of the larger public. And we're trying our best right now in partnership with the communities to manage this sudden spurt of growth in tourism. So we're currently organizing the Resort Owners Association in Gigantes, the Guides Association, even the drivers, and we're coordinating this closely with the provincial government and with the local government in Gigantes. And fingers crossed, hopefully we'll be able to improve the management systems in as soon as possible.
Is there any other questions? So, can you around the microphone?
Good afternoon. My question goes to Dr. Ibay. I was wondering if you have a phase-out plan. You've been in this area for like 6 years, and is there like a minimum milestone that you can say that the community is resilient enough for an external partner to be phasing out? I'm looking at it from the perspective of a humanitarian organization where we usually only have a maximum of 2 years to implement a project, and right now we're implementing in Northern Samar, and we have 2 years, and our goal is to contribute towards community resiliency.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Actually, what we're doing right now is already beyond the phase now of rehabilitation post-Typhoon Yolanda. In fact, what we're doing, I think, is already part of the development phase, where we're readying the community for the future. And what we do as a foundation, because we went through Gigantes by way of UPD-sized foundation, the non-government arm of our university, is simply to facilitate assistance to the island. So we're kind of standing on the middle ground. We're looking for funding partners, and currently our biggest funding partner is the Foundation for the Philippine Environment. They committed 10 years within Gigantes, and we're only up to our 2nd year. So looking at the time frame, it seems that we're quite a long way off when we talk about phase out. But we've started building grassroots initiatives, particularly, if you can see in the video earlier, the Island Sustainable Development Alliance. So it's an alliance of the 4 barangays that serve as a platform for the 4 barangays to talk with each other and synchronize their development efforts. That the application, for example, of one policy would be uniform across all the 4 barangays, which was, I think, a big progress compared to what they were doing in the past. I was telling this earlier to one of our colleagues over lunch. I think 2 years ago, one barangay there in Gigantes is very strict in terms of style of circulation, but the other barangays are very lax. So when people from that particular barangay would harvest scallops, they would bring it to the 3 other barangays where regulation is lax, so that they can escape from punishment because of strict regulation. So with the alliance, we're kind of hoping that they would go together as one entity towards a common vision, whatever that will be for them to eventually come.
Thank you to all the speakers for your insightful presentations. But my question or comment is for Jen. I'm an occupational therapist and a healthcare provider, and contributing to the discourse on socio-ecological systems thinking, I really appreciate the presentation. And also, I'm a big fan of the permaculture approach. So I'm happy someone has mentioned that name. I really believe, and I'd like to share that each and every one of us as an individual is actually composed of a universe. There is actually a lot of actors inside our bodies. When we think about Seth's slide on applying resilience thinking, it's actually about listening to the actors inside of our bodies. And then if we look at the environment as a stakeholder, as a salient, knowing and salient and knowing stakeholder, we would be able to apply more what Seth's mentioning about connectivity and feedback. So, Seth, I actually just want you, if you can indulge the audience some more about permaculture and how it applies to sustainable development.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. I think that's really important to what you were saying about, that kind of hits to the point of my presentation, is that we need to think of resilience as multi-tiered, and and we ourselves, as you were saying, we ourselves are resilient systems. We, individual is a system in addition to all these others. But yeah, it's really kind of, it's a framework that, so kind of this concept of resilient thinking and at that systems level, it's really a framework, and this is what I was trying to portray. It's a framework that we can apply really to many different scenarios. So I encourage you all to do that. As far as permaculture is concerned, I mean, I know a bit about permaculture. When I was working in Panama, there were a few farms that were doing really intensive permaculture in a tropical setting, which was fascinating to me. Just the way in which being able to intercrop species within kind of the natural environment. So you're not even just planting crops, right? You're mixing in other tree species, you're mixing in flowers and pollinators, and thinking really kind of that larger system of how each one of these species is going to strengthen the other, right? And what it does is it also provides these blockages for when pests do come, or when shocks come to the system, it's able to really withstand that perfectly fine and keep operating, right? And so that's the key, is I think it hits home that diversity in so many different ways is kind of the key for us when we think about how to build resiliency and how to move forward with society and overall. And diverse cultures in itself have so much to give, right? We can think on so many different levels. Diversity in amongst ourselves is such an important tool for adaptive learning. And so I think, yeah, permaculture, I think we can look to permaculture as certainly as an example of a resilient system. And it's a resilient system in which us humans can manage, right? We're actually creating this permacultural system that's going to support our well-being and livelihoods through the food services, through the well-being services, and whatnot. So it's really kind of that approach of us at the center and then using all of our resources around us. So I really appreciate that. I'm happy to chat more with you about permaculture later. Yeah.
My name is Ashik from Singapore. I would like to ask, since you focus on community-based environmental management, where you have taken the idea of systems analysis, we look at system usually on something that has already happened, and then we look at the interconnections, interrelations across variables. But I would like to ask for your comment on the predictive ability of the systems analysis approach when we look at the community-based environmental management. How effective is the predictive capacity of the system analysis approach?
Not particularly familiar. I don't know if any of you have more knowledge on the more predictive abilities. Perhaps this question better than others, but I mean, can you just give me a little bit more content to offer here?
So when we look at certain natural disasters, what has happened, then we look at costs, for example, a typhoon, how it impacted various economy, how it impacted all the way to the household. So we establish a form of system involving multiple loops. So that is an analysis of something that has already happened. But how useful is this same set of model can be applied again should another typhoon come by with that particular magnitude? What's the predictive ability of that kind of model? So I guess the underlying assumption of the underlying belief of my approach to system analysis is how can it be used again and again to help communities prepare for a disaster?
Right, I think that comes down to kind of adaptive learning, right? And learning from past experiences with disasters and whatnot, and how that may feed back into other future disasters. But it's also important to note that every environment and kind of ecosystem is going to behave differently to various threats and shocks. And so we have to be careful when we try to do predictive modeling and make sure that it is adapted to that scenario as well, right? That'll be kind of my answer.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. My question is for Professor Ibay. Since we're talking about the aspect of protecting the island, I was just wondering if the studies have included the protection of the shores by implementing the mangrove sea given as coral connection. Is there any?
Yes. A group of scientists from UP Science recently conducted a study on the marine resources within Gigantes and found out that there's very poor species diversity, particularly when we talk about fisheries resources, which they said could be attributed to overfishing and entrance, of course, of commercial fishers. What we see, if you look at it on the map and by application of the law, should be for municipal fishers only. But there are lots of commercial fishers entering into the area and of course competing in terms of fisheries production with the municipal fishers. And that was one of the major reasons cited by that particular research, leading to the conclusion that there is a need to protect the coastal marine environment within Gigantes. And among the 4 barangays, just last year, they decided to unify their marine protected area. It is also mandated by law that each and every coastal community in the Philippines should have an MPA, marine protected area. So in the case of Gigantes, they had an MPA per barangay since 2008. But after Typhoon Yolanda and after a series of engagements in capacity building with the 4 barangays, they decided to unify the marine protected area so that, as I mentioned earlier, there could only be one application of policy across the board. Of course, it's a challenge right now, resource-wise, on their part, on how to demarcate that, because they need to have appropriate resources. They need to have the right resources or commensurate resources for them to, let's say, just put up markers across the identified protected area. But I think that's a big step on the part of 4 barangays to think about of that particular solution to a common problem that they've seen since the late 1990s.
Good afternoon. My question is for Zed. By the way, I'm Minette from National Economic and Development Authority. The current approach in land use planning in the Philippines is still based on geographical boundaries of local governments. So my question is, what are your thoughts on ecosystem-based planning or the reach-to-reef approach? And do you know any of best practices that you may want to share with us regarding this approach? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's part of it's a real issue when we come to land planning and land use is when we are creating these artificial boundaries, right? That might not play into the actual ecosystem and what it encompasses that. And so we certainly do need to take that ecosystem-based approach and also an integrated approach when we're talking about environmental management. As far as best practices are concerned, I think that goes kind of my point of connectivity, right? We need to think of connectivity in between ecosystems and ways in which we can connect those together if it's going to support more resilient systems. And so one way to think about that is thinking beyond the community level and doing one project in a specific community and really encouraging a collaborative approach between communities to take on similar issues. So that would be my kind of one advice for that. Thank you for that question.
Thank you very much for the very insightful presentations. I'm Leah from Disaster Net Philippines of HHI. My question is for Ziggy. You showed a slide earlier about protection of the environment is not the same as protection of nature. And then you cite as an example hydropower, like building dams. My question is, when we use environmental valuation, what would be the role of environmental valuation in making decisions for balancing that contrast between protection of the environment and protection of nature?
Okay. The locality can show the value of their land doing the valuation. For example, I think. Now, fifth, protection of environment and protection of nature. Mostly it is the same, but there are issues, there are situations when it is not similar, it is not the same. we have national park, yeah, and in the area of national park, government wants to do, for example, hydropower plant to gain renewable energy, yeah, renewable energy, and this is environmental protection, and it could be in separate way from the nature protection, because the plants, for example, plants will disappear, the fish will disappear, yeah, from this area. That is the first point. The second point, to show the value of environment, we use environmental methods, and we can do survey among locality, yeah, to show how this area is valuable. To show, for example, that the area when the plant will be localized is more valuable than the energy that will be delivered from this plant, the cost of this energy. For example, this is first example, and we can use valuation methods also in disaster management. As I said before, mostly used, it is used method